Alright guys, time for a really different video. Toyota Australia have lent me this Toyota GR Hilux to make some videos about and share with you guys what I think. Now this video is going to be my first impressions. I've had it for a few days now. Tell you guys what I think of it, but I will do a proper overview in another video. So this is going to be a much more casual sort of thing. Anyway, if you're not familiar with the GR Hilux, it is the top of the line Toyota Hilux. This is a brand spanking new one. It only had 80 Ks on it when I picked it up. 2025 model. It is a little bit refreshed from the videos that I've seen online, and I'll go through some of the changes there. But let's talk about the interior because it's right in front of me. Now the GR gets this awesome steering wheel. I really like this. I do like the GR badging down there, and I do like this, but the utility of this I would have to question, because this is usually for drifting, and you know that so you sort of know where you are, know where your steering wheel's at. I doubt you're going to be doing that in this car, but that's okay. The other thing is this is the first Hilux ever to have paddle shifters, so you can see that it is paddle shifters there, although you can still shift the 6-speed auto just up and down like you would in any other car. In terms of cup holders, we've got 2 there and we've got some in the door. The other thing that is cool about this car with the refresh is there is a Qi wireless charger there, so you can just slide your car there, although it does kind of slide around a little bit. It's not perfect, but it does work. We have our cigarette plug, we have a USB. You will need that because this car only has wired CarPlay, not wireless, which is not my favorite, if I'm honest. It's not my favorite, and that'll probably be the one thing that I don't love about this car, which we'll get into later. Trailer braking, descent control, traction control, diff locks. The other thing that I won't be doing in this video is forward driving. So there's plenty of those videos already out there, but I don't know anything about forward driving, if I'm honest. So that would be a bit of a waste. We also have a power and eco button. You know, I've just been driving it really in an eco. One thing I love is this, a manual handbrake, which is fantastic. Really happy with that. And then we have our normal size glove box. We get GR floor mats with this. This is really cool. We have a little glove box that opens up there, and there's a little vent in there. And I'm assuming you can put your food or drinks in that, and you can either heat it or cool it based off here, which is really cool. And of course we have our normal glove box. Down there, I really like that we have a proper manual handbrake, and in our little center console we have a proper 240 volt plug, which is pretty cool. Oh sorry, 220, 100 watts. And this is nice and comfy leather. And if we have a look back here, we can see the GR stitching in the seats. All these are heated seats, mixture of Alcantara and leather, and we have these really cool red seat belts. Another thing I really like in the interior here is these speakers. Again, I can't really show you that on camera, but they are fantastic. They are really good. The speakers in this car are awesome. What else can we go? We got cruise control down there. We got sports pedals, and we do have some controls down here, idle up. Our camera view buttons, which I'll show you in a second when we start the car. Parking sensors, that kind of thing. And of course we can easily switch to four-wheel drive there, or change to low range by pushing it there, but we're just going to stay in two-wheel drive for now. One of the criticisms about this car is that it's a little bit dated in here. Now the seats and things are really nice. I can kind of see that. However, I do like all of these chunky buttons. They're really good. I really do like those. Again, it's not my favorite, this thing. I would worry that these little buttons will get dust and all that kind of stuff inside. However, I don't know if that's true, but that's just a concern. I do really like the instrument cluster though, because it's not just a screen, it's real dials, which is really cool. We also have our remote button start, of course. And down here, just mirror adjustment, windows, nothing too crazy. Anyway, if we jump out, the other thing that's really cool is they have these sort of rock guards, and they save the car from if you're going over rocks and stuff, and you know you don't want to damage yourselves. But you can have a look there. I think it's a really good looking car. really good. This one is obviously black, and because it's black, it has all of these blacked out badges. We have our GR badge there, and a sensor and a little camera, which I'll show you in a second. But I really like that this is the Toyota in writing rather than the T logo. These wheels are exclusive to this car, comes with the black Hilux badges, and there are a few colors in this. There's not that many, but this one is, you know, I think it looks great, all the red and black. And the other thing is, in some of the other reviews I've seen, is there was this simple hinge, but this one has hydraulics, which is pretty cool. The GR Sport badge there, and we have our GR in the GR badge up in the tub. And we also have these exposed red recovery points exclusively on this car, so that's another cool thing. And we also have these flares. So it also has a slightly different suspension, so it's 20mm higher than a standard Hilux, and it's 135mm wider on the front and 150 on the rear. And you can really see that, you know, especially with the flares, those big old mud flaps. One of the downsides though is because it's black, man, I've already washed this thing twice. And, you know, I want to take care of it, obviously. But yeah, I think it's a really, really good looking ute. And the other thing I wanted to show you, just while we're here, is the engine bay. I'll open this guy. 2.8 litre turbo diesel, 165 kilowatts with around 550 newton meters of torque. And as you can imagine, here we go, it's absolutely spotless in there. Now, I admit, normally I love my old Holden 5 litres. I don't know a ton about modern diesels, but if you do, you can tell me what I'm missing. But I did notice that there's only one battery. There might be a room for another one down there. But you know, classic Toyota things. And the other thing with Toyotas, you know, is they're not cheap. This one is around starting at $75,000. Now 75 is a fair bit of money, especially when it doesn't include even a tarp or anything. And by the time you put some racks on it, I don't know, put it in a lift or whatever, next thing you know, you're at 100. So yeah, it does take a fair bit to get these up to where you want them. But then again, so yeah, I guess price is a little bit of a negative, but then again, you know, I actually have a Japanese girlfriend, and we were looking together through these in Toyota, and they're about 45,000 Australian dollars, which makes you think a lot of that cost must go to the Australian government. So I don't know how much I can blame Toyota for that. And the other thing is that this is what new cars cost now. You know, they're just dear. So anyway, we will start her up. So you just have to depress your brake, foot on the brake, press that button, and there's our Toyota thing. Hopefully you can see that. So we'll press continue. Okay, so I'll just give you a very quick rundown through our little system here. Now, this is the homepage that you see a lot. This is the maps. It's pretty straightforward. You just sort of type in your destination. I have used it before, but I like this car, but this is probably one of the weaker parts, just because I'd much prefer a wireless CarPlay. I've always liked that, and you know, I have an iPhone. I just think it would work a lot better together, but it does work. This is functional, but by its competitors, it is a little bit dated. But then again, you know, Toyota does things like this, and they wait until they've got something 100% perfect before they release it. Anyway, so the other thing is there's a little screen here. Hopefully you can see that. And we are getting 10 litres per 100k. We've done 570 kilometers. I've been pretty, you know, I've been driving it pretty normal, and you can switch through the information up here. I've got a compass, what music I'm listening to, turn off my traction control, some settings, and our speed. But we also have lane assist and all of this kind of stuff on the steering wheel, answer and call buttons, and we also have our cruise control down there. But it's all really straightforward. So the other thing is we'll just go for a drive. Now, I mentioned before the power figures on this car, and it is making pretty good, but it's important to know that it's 10% more than a standard Hilux, which is pretty cool. And honestly, for a ute, it is quite comfy as well. My girlfriend actually, she said that it's kind of like it's bumpy, but it's kind of soft. It's not the harsh bumps, it's not uncomfortable. How nice it is though. You know, I haven't driven that many dual cabs, I admit, but I have driven a few. I've had a Colorado, an Amarok, I've driven a Colorado, an Amarok. I've driven quite a few actually. A Hilux as well, but it was a much older generation than this. It is comfy. Again, it is slightly bouncy. However, it's not uncomfortable. It's not uncomfortable. I do really enjoy the heated seats, which I've just turned off because I was pressing the buttons before, but it is very nice. The other thing that I really like about this car is that a lot of modern cars, and I'm always going to knock them on this if they do it, is they always beep and whinge and annoy you if you go slightly over the speed limit. So again, I'm not saying speeding is good, but if you go 41 in a 40 zone, it'll go boop, 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 you know, and it just does your absolute nut in. The other thing as well is it's done 2 DPF burns while I've had it. It smelt really weird. It smelt really strange, but I think that might be just because, I mean, everything's brand new. It smelt real weird. It does have CarPlay, that's the other thing I wanted to mention, but it's wired only, and my phone's quite old. It's a 14. Well, it's not old, but because I was a chippy, which a lot of the people that buy these cars will probably be, or they'll be supervisors, my port is knackered, so I can't show you the CarPlay, but it's the same as every other car. The other thing that I thought is quite strange is there is a button just here, or a light that says passenger airbag, and it tells you when it's on and off. I can't imagine why that happens, but overall though, it is a really nice car, and I was driving this thinking, God, can I swing this? Can I buy one of these? For me personally, it's just too much money in this stage of my life. But I'm sure there are some other people where this is a drop in the bucket. So for those people, yeah, it is an absolutely gorgeous car. I love the speakers. It's very comfortable, aircon, heater, everything works obviously as it should because it's a brand spanking car. Yeah, I love it. It is cool driving, you know, I'm normally driving Fords and Holdens and things that are much more normal car, and it is cool to have something like this where you sit real high up, feel like you're king on the road, and you can drive through big puddles and big, I don't know, big dirty bits, and you don't have to worry about it too much because it's so tall. So I really do like that. The other thing that I will show you in this video is I'll do a 0 to 100 because that's one of the whole parts of this car. However, I'm not exactly sure what the purpose of paddle shifters and having a really fast dual cab is, because a lot of these cars will be bought by families, and they'll be used for towing, they'll be used for school runs and the occasional off-road use. That's the life that most of these cars will live. And so a lot of these, you know, I used to work in construction. A lot of the time, these cars will end up being bought by supervisors or site supervisors and driven from site to site, much more than, well, I seem to see much more of them than a PovPack Hilux. So yeah, that's about it. That is about it with my first impressions. I really like this car. I wish I could buy it. Again, I will do a proper review over it. This is just my first impressions. I do really like the speakers here in the door cards. I do like the black roof lining, all of the black stuff. Oh, we also have a sunglasses holder there, which is very important, of course. And yeah, that'll probably be about it. I will go to somewhere where I can safely do a 0 to 100, and then that'll probably be the video. All right, we will do a little highway pull here. There we go. There we go. Now I have to be honest, you know, it's not mind-blowing, but for a dual cab it is pretty good. Like, it is quick, don't get me wrong, it is definitely quick, but for a dual cab, and it just I didn't even use the paddle shifters, I forgot about it, but I don't know, I don't know how much you really need the paddle shifters if I'm honest, but it's still a really cool car. I do enjoy it, I do really love it, but there is a full review coming. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it was a little bit different, and I know that it's not the cars that I normally feature, but you know, as we get further and further into winter, it's going to be harder and harder to get some of those classics out, and I want to keep the ball rolling, and that's why I've got some newer stuff out. But don't worry, those old cars are not going anywhere. I'm not going to become a new car only channel. But it is awesome to, you know, try something new, try something that most people are driving. You know, this is one of the best selling cars in the country, the Hilux, in one of the best selling segments. So why not give it a go as an Aussie bloke that reviews cars? So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and thanks for following along, liking, subscribing. I really appreciate it. Thanks very much.